hands together now and welcome her to the stage. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Oh, that's good. It's a bit like throwing a party and going, God, is anybody turn up? You're all here. That's great. So we've got 20 minutes and I'm going to talk about tenants. The irony is not lost on me that I'm a small Lancashire woman. I was born in Accrington, not far from here. My dad was an ad man in Manchester, but I've built my marketing career in Scotland. I've been there since I was 18, which is why I've got a bit of a weird accent. It'll get more and more Lancashire as I go on through the day. To be honest, I could talk about this brand forever, but I've got 20 minutes and I'd like to take some questions if I can, so I'm going to go relatively quickly. I've got some videos, I've got some fun stuff, I've got some stuff hopefully to make you laugh. But firstly, I'm going to really explain the title and why I chose it, because there's 3 really deliberate words there. Curating, a cultural icon. Set myself up for something quite big there, didn't I? I really think as brand marketeers and agencies who work on these really big, long, historic brands, you have a responsibility to curate them for the short period of time that they're yours. They're only yours for that little bit of your career. They belong to everybody. They belong to their cultures, especially big behemoth beer brands that have been here for 140 years. And there are many other brands like that as well. So do not overstate your own importance in the life of this brand and curate it carefully. Culture, that's what I'm going to talk about as the key theme here. How do you play in culture when you have been part of it for so long, and yet you have to stay modern and fresh when everybody else is basically coming in and trying to eat your lunch by pretending to be a Spanish lager when you're brewed in the Midlands. And that's what we're up against here. An icon. Quite a sort of overused word, maybe in marketing, but I'm going to show you how when you are iconic and you are trying to maintain an icon, keep things simple. Do not mess with what works. So, make sure the clicker works. Da-da-da. Culture. We all hear about all the time. Oh, culture in marketing, got to insert yourself into culture, got to find your way into culture. And you think, oh God, that all sounds really big and scary. How am I going to do that? And if you read all the marketing press, you'd get yourself in quite a panic. And I think this is the point here, is what is culture and how do you work out? And I'm going to sort of steal a phrase of category entry points and instead talk about cultural entry points. How do you find the right cultural entry points for your brand, and how do you understand where it already fits in culture and therefore where you want to play? We're talking here about massive brands, not a niche brand. And in this case, penetration way outweighs loyalty. So we're not talking about trying to find some little place to play in culture and build a little tribe. We're talking about actually inserting yourself into the culture and playing in the culture of a whole country. And that's quite complex. Culture, in this sense, is a reach engine for a large brand. This is one of our factory workers, Davey. Our lager is different class. Making it makes us proud. You will not believe the passion of the people in our business who make our brand and really believe that it is genuinely different class. That's actually the view out of my office. I see those massive vats sitting in our brewery yard every single day, which reminds me the history and the iconic nature of our brand. We are an icon. We are already an icon, and we have been for the last 140 years. We're 140 years old. Oh God, we're an old brand. That's terrible. Well, you're only old if you act old. So how do you keep a 140-year-old brand fresh? Our culture is what keeps us fresh. And that's what I'm going to go into talk about now. Brief history of the brand. I'm conscious I'm in the northwest of England. You might not all know about Tennent. If you've ever been to Scotland, I know a lot of our Scottish agencies are down here as well today, you will know this. We have been around a long, long time. Hugh Tennent took a brewery that had been on the site already for hundreds of years, has been brewing on our site since 1745, and he went to Bavaria and he discovered Pilsner-style lagers, and he brought those back to Glasgow and he started brewing, and we basically put our first Tennent's lager out in 1885. We've done lots of firsts. We were the first draft lager. We've been the biggest exporter of beer to the world back in the 1800s. We first got involved in the World Cup, the Football World Cup, back in 1974. We were the first draft lager, and on and on and on. We have a huge history, and this is my point about my job at the moment is literally, I am curating this for the small amount of time that me and my team get the absolute privilege of looking after this brand for a small amount of time. Again, you may not know this, but just to give you the context, every other pint sold in a Scottish pub is a pint of Tennent's. So just let that sink in. We have more than 50% on trademark of beer. Guinness, everything, we smash it all out the park. The dominance of this brand, and I'll use that with a small d, and advisedly in this room, is quite overwhelming. Guinness made a big thing recently about how now they were 1 in 10 pints sold in the country, and we were like, home a beer. Been doing this for a long time. In the off-trade, so slightly more kind of free market in the supermarkets, lots more brands around. Tennent still sells more than Stella and Bud combined. Our 15-pack is bigger than whole other brands in the market. This is a brand that has achieved a position that is our responsibility to keep, and it's done it through absolute consistency for years and years and years. So, culture, that's the point of the talk. What is Scottish culture? Well, I checked before I came here. Is everybody going to write some swear words? And some of you who are kind of my age will remember this film very well, others you may not, but is this Scottish culture?
Well, what are you waiting for?
Tommy, this is not natural, man.
It's a great outdoors. It's fresh air.
Look, Tommy, we know you're getting a hard time off Lizzie, but there's really no need to take it out on us.
Doesn't it make you proud to be Scottish?
It's shite being Scottish! With the lowest of the low! The scum of the fucking earth! The most wretched, miserable, servile, pathetic trash that was ever shot in civilization! Some people hate English, I don't. They're just wankers! We, on the other hand, are colonised by wankers! Can't even find a decent culture to be colonised by. We're ruled by effete arseholes. It's a shite state of affairs to be in, Tommy, and all the fresh air in the world won't make any fucking difference.
Sorry, man. I don't like it. No, I'm sorry.
No, I appreciate it, Paul.
So, some of you might have seen that film quite a long time ago now. Is that Scottish culture? Is that kind of slightly edgy? It's a little bit scary, drug-taking culture? Is that Scottish culture? Or is it this? Is it the pipes and drums? Is it sort of myths and history and, oh, let's go and find Nessie? Is it Lewis Capaldi? Is it, brilliant young actors coming up and making it in Hollywood? Is it the Tartan Army off to go and party when Scotland possibly lose again in a major tournament? Or is it high fashion, the Strathbury handbag that Meghan Markle carries around? And the point is, it's all of this. And this is the point about culture, and if you're brands or agencies who are looking for how do we insert ourselves into culture, you've got to figure out what it is that you're going to go and be part of. However, when you are a brand that is marketing to a whole country, I think the point is, it is all of this. And for us, we don't pick one bit of it. We go and play with what's important to Scotland right now, what's being talked about in Scotland right now, and what's our role within that. How do other brands do this? And this isn't a criticism, because I've worked on whiskey brands. I've worked on brands like Baxter's Food, which sells all around the world on a very kind of Scottish platform. I think the thing is, for a lot of brands and categories, they're using a national culture and an idea of what Scottishness is, and they're using it to sell to other people. and other countries particularly export marketing. And there's some brilliant recent whiskey advertising that's super modern. Glenmorangie has just done some great work recently, as has Lefroy, for example, with really cool, big, sort of global names like Harrison Ford, but it's still taking a version of Scotland, the heather and the weather, and it's turning it into a way to sell Scotland and their brand to the outside world. Even Iron Brew, this is a really recent campaign, is still using that sort of, made in Scotland from girders, and we're all a bit tough and rough, and we're all sort of, made of something stronger. Walker's slightly twee brand, trying to sort of use Andy Murray. Oh, look, we're a small brand that's come a long way. We're all playing to like cliches and caricatures of what Scotland is, rather than if you're somebody living in Scotland right now, what you know Scotland to be on a day-to-day basis. Tennent's is part of Scottish culture, and I'm going to play you an ad here because it's a marketing conference and I think it's always great to show an ad. We all love seeing an ad, and this is a really old one that I know a lot of you won't have seen. But Tennent's really shifted its game back in the early 90s with a very famous ad called Caledonia that really captured a moment in time. I'm going to play it, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how this brand really changed the conversation around Tennent's. Now, the reason I share that is because that ad was aired in 1991. Just to be slightly political, Scottish nationalism was just on the rise. There was a massive reaction to it, both emotionally. It was the era of yuppies, people probably leaving Scotland to go to London, feeling like they had to really leave to make it somewhere. But there is something deep in the Scottish people, and I actually say this as a northerner as well, I think you get that here as well, of if you have to go away, you want to come home, and that longing and feeling of wanting to go home and what makes you feel like you're at home. We have consumers in groups who tell us, I know I'm home when I see the red tea outside a pub. It gives me a warm feeling. That's my sign that I am home. It was also quite a political time, and actually this ad was seen as being quite anti-English at the time. I don't think that was ever the intent, but because of the political situation, it actually went a little bit sort of bonkers in terms of news coverage. And after a few weeks, the ad actually came off air because it was almost generating coverage they hadn't expected. But it has remained in the Scottish psyche for years and years and years. That song was relatively unknown. It was picked by Jerry Farrell at the time at Leith to put over that ad. And actually, it has become almost Scotland's second national anthem. It was actually the first dance at my wedding in 1998. So that song lives in people's hearts and lives now. It's always associated with Tennent's. So authenticity and understanding what's going on in your culture really matters. Moving on, Tea in the Park. Whoever went to Tea in the Park? There must be somebody here. Yay! Every single year we get asked, when are you bringing it back? When are we bringing it back? We haven't done it for 10 years. What people probably don't know is we didn't sponsor Tea in the Park. We invented it. That festival existed because Tennent's created it. There are generations who had their first experiences of festivals at Tea in the Park. Oasis, careers like that were launched very much at Tea in the Park. Huge part of our brand, and still really resonates now and gives us now license to talk in music really confidently because, hey, we're Tennent's and we did Tea in the Park. So what does it mean now? Every brand has a manifesto. We love ours. We say we are raised in Scotland. I'll give credit to Leith Agency here because they're our brand who work with us on this. And you can read the words there, but I'm going to sort of pick out a couple of particular things there. calling your best pals what most people call their worst enemies is a thing in Scotland about, real sweary words being a real kind of sign of affection. Slagging off your home but defending it to the death if anybody else tries. That's a very Scottish trait as well, possibly quite a northern one as well. It's a state of mind. It's a slightly off-kilter view of the world. A unique attitude shared by 5 million people. Through festivals, stadiums, pubs and empties, we've been part of the madness for 140 years. This is how you keep it fresh. Being raised in Scotland, and this is not I didn't say about being born in Scotland, but being raised in Scotland, literally and figuratively, means having a positive approach to life, stubbornly positive, proudly authentic, and up for a laugh. We insert ourselves in some of the key moments in Scottish culture. This was the famous 0-0 draw that Scotland basically acted like they had won in Euro 2020 against England. This is on Shoreditch High Street. And basically, it's just inserting yourself into those moments because we know what our people are thinking. This went up outside the brewery gate the day after that. Again, it's that kind of just knowing what people are thinking and just bloody well going for it and sticking the thing up there and not going, should we do it, should we not? Yes, we just do it. And then, because you're 140 years old, and yes, we sponsor football, and yes, we sponsor rugby, but in a year where there aren't those things, what do you talk about? Or what do we all talk about? We talk about the weather, and we talk about the fact we always have a shite somewhere in Scotland, just a bit like we do here in Manchester as well. So here's a little video of some stuff we did last year, and you go, oh, we're 140 years old. What do we do to celebrate it? Well, let's celebrate the fact we've all survived 140 years of really rubbish Scottish summers.
1, 2, 3, 4. So much more than I needed before. I got money in the meter and a turbo heater. Oh, now it's getting on the road.
We're about to make a call from the Tennent's hotline. Can you have the day off?
You want the day off? Aye.
Good.
I got a shelf full of books and most of my teeth. Few pairs of socks and a door with a lock. I got food in my belly and a license for my telly, and nothing's gonna bring me down.
So, another cultural entry point, talking about how bad the weather is. So, I'm going to wrap it up quickly so that we can hopefully have some questions. Remember the point at the beginning, the point about being an icon. The power of distinctiveness. Don't mess about with it. It's yellow and it's got a big red T on it. It has been forever. Just be really simple. Don't let your brand manager get bored of it and go, I think I'd like to change the can. No, you won't. Because everybody bloody recognises it. You keep it and you get clever with the other stuff. So we show up, we have the big red T's outside a pub, we block everything out. It's simple, but it works. So what's next? Well, some of you may know there was a rather large football game in Glasgow a few months ago where Scotland actually qualified automatically for the World Cup. You would think we'd actually already won it. The country literally went bonkers. I was there with my son. It was the most crazy football match you've ever seen in your life. And everybody sort of went a bit bonkers, which I'm going to skip over because I won't have time. But literally, you would think it's already won. And somebody said to me earlier today, oh, your matches are like 2 a.m. Nobody's going to stay up for those. I was like, are you insane? Every pub in every city will be full till 4 o'clock in the morning and nobody will be going to work the next day. So what do? Day after, for those of you who saw Scott McTominay's goal, that was our social media post. Little pop at Carlsberg, we'd beaten Denmark, and obviously changing our red tea to a lovely picture of Scott there. We are the official sponsors of Scottish football and the Scottish football team, and we are working really closely with our agencies to come up with what we're going to do. This is a massive cultural moment in the country, and we want to celebrate it with them. So it is time to dream, and I'm going to finish with a video, and hopefully there is at least a minute for a question. So, cultural entry points, broad reach, physical availability, look after your assets, make sure you're constantly refreshing memory structures, and participate in culture, don't borrow from it. Thank you.
Thank you, Cara. I've got a question for you from the audience, and it is simply, how will you celebrate your 150th anniversary?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, I plan to not be in this job and probably be retired looking at it somewhere else. But I think the thing is then it'll be whatever's happening at the time. I think that's the thing with our brand. We live among the people. We are among whatever is happening in Scotland. So we don't actually predict too far ahead because we're working with our teams going, what's happening? What do we need to be talking about? How are people feeling? What's our role in it? And I think it's that going above the sort of, it's not about, we don't push out what we feel or think. We go and participate in what the Scottish people feel and think. So at that point, we'll go and join in with whatever that is.
Well, thank you so very much for an absolutely excellent keynote speech. I'm afraid we have run out of time, but thank you. Put your hands together, please, for Cara. Thank you.